Good morning. It is another work day. I got my breakfast apple and a cup of coffee. Today is going to be arm day. Yeah, because it's Thursday. Still waking up. It's just past 5:30 in the morning. But anyway, like I said, I got work today. I also got to go to the gym, and it's the last day of July, so maybe I'll find something a little bit to do. Not something too much, obviously, because when you gotta be up at 5 in the morning, you know how it is. But anyway, let me eat my apple, drink my coffee, have a kombucha to wake up my gut, and I'll catch you guys later at the gym. Let's have some fun today.
So I am temporarily back home because I wanted to get a little bit of a break in between work and the gym because work was tiring today. But I'm going to go to the fitness center and we're going to train arms today because it is arm day after all. So let's get into that. And again, we are doing this.
So originally I was going to talk about alpha males again because for whatever reason, they were making me mad all over again and I couldn't get them off my mind. But I wanted to talk about something different and I want to talk about film on here, specifically the movie Martyrs. It's a horror movie if you haven't seen it. It's one of those very nihilistic horror movies where, you have your gore films like Friday the 13th, Poultrygeist, Nightmare on Elm Street, things like that, your slasher flicks. But Martyrs is kind of a true torture film. It came out around the time there was the French New Wave extreme horror. It's a French movie, and it is very much a torture movie. However, while the opening of the movie is where all the gore is, when the torturing actually happens, it's very much just brutal. I don't want to say tame, but it's not like there's blood spraying everywhere. But the girl, spoilers for those who haven't watched it, does get skinned alive by the end. And this is why a lot of people are having a discussion about this movie as of late. Now, keep in mind, I saw this movie years ago and I haven't really thought about it since. But seeing the retrospectives about it and people talking about what Mademoiselle said, and I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, probably not, or what she heard to make her, off herself at the end of the movie. I remember, or not remember, but I read a few comments recently on some of these videos and they said, the point of the movie is not what she actually said to Mademoiselle. It's the fact that we are now so obsessed of learning what she said and not being in absolute terror that this innocent girl got tortured to death. Now, keep in mind, this movie is a work of fiction, so none of it is real, but it is something interesting to kind of think about. Now, when it comes to horror movies and things like that, obviously, a lot of the times we want the cool splatter effects, we want the excessive gore, or we just want something scary. And Martyrs is one of the few shock horror films that I think just the ending in and of itself is something to think about because really we do all focus on, hey, what did she say here? Or even just in these types of movies as a whole, we talk about the effects and the gore and how cool the kills are. But with Martyrs, at the end of the movie, just all of the emotional trauma that everyone has gone through, just for it to end with someone capping themselves because of what they might have heard. And that's all we talk about.
So I'm back home, and fun fact, I actually already recorded my nighttime video. My hair's looking wild right now.
Piece of shit.
And I still got some of that sunscreen on my face. Shoot. Pardon me. And I thought I cleaned it all off. But that's okay. That's what the nighttime face wash is for.
It doesn't matter!
Anyway, I actually already recorded this video, technically.
Extremely.
But it was a video where I was doing more angles and having more fun with it. But as I was doing that, I realized I couldn't get my thoughts straight up together, so I figured
I'd re-record it here, just one-on-one with you guys, and just talk face-to-face. And I actually want to talk about some underrated comedy movies. Now, the first one I want to talk about is actually Grandma's Boy. Now, the reason why this one is because I was watching Red Cow Arcade, the video ended, and it auto-played Grandma's Boy, the full movie, because I have YouTube Premium. And I was thinking, you know what? That movie's hilarious. Every time I watch it, it's one of those movies where it just puts me in a good mood. And I think the reason I really enjoy it is because it's about nerdy dudes, but it doesn't look like it's a little mean-spirited because it's a comedy, but it doesn't look at them in like an insanely negative way. In fact, it's mostly optimistic. The only one that's really seen as horrible is JP because he's the villain of the movie. But everyone else, they're eccentric and outlandish, but overall, everyone is still treated in a friendly way. And that is something that's recurring that I actually kind of enjoy about the Happy Madison movies. The bullies are the most stereotypical bullies of all time, but at least the lead characters are always heartwarming, and that's what I like about them. They are feel-good movies ultimately, and this is one of my feel-good movies. This is a movie where if I'm in a bad mood, I can put it on and I'll cheer up almost immediately because it is just a heartwarming, fun, loving movie. And I know that critics didn't love it, but it's becoming a cult classic, and for good reason. It's really funny. I genuinely think it's a great comedy, and I think the only reason why critics dislike it is because it was a Happy Madison comedy movie with some lowbrow humor, even though it is overall really funny. It's like it's a frat boy movie, you know. And the other one I want to talk about is this one. A lot of people consider to be a genuine cult classic, and this one I might consider to be the Poultrygeist of underrated comedies, and that is a movie called Freaked. Have you seen Freaked? Probably not, but if you haven't, you need to. Freaked is a movie about a circus full of, well, freaks that are science experiments, basically. It is one of the most charming, likable, funny, dark comedies there are out there, and I love every second of it. The reason I love every second of it is because there's so many bizarre effects. All the characters are likable, including the villain. As bad of a guy as he is, he's still a likable dude outside of, being the villain of the movie. Styrofoam cup. Because in one part, he is an environmentalist. So that's cool, kind of. Even if he wants to mutate a bunch of people and turn them into a sideshow freak show. But even the freaks, they're not treated in a negative way. The only one that gets any negativity is the one who doesn't like macaroons. All because a man doesn't like macaroons. And there's plenty of macaroons for all of them too. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet. Anyway, Freaked is genuinely hilarious. And it's a shame it never got a proper Blu-ray release. Even the DVD now is harder to find, which I think is insane. Why is it so hard to find a copy of Freaked? I mean, when I say hard to find, I mean like eBay for about 20 to 30 bucks. But still, like, I don't know who owns the rights to Freaked. Maybe Criterion could do a Freaked re-release. That'd be something. But outside of that, Freaked is one of those fun, lighthearted, entertaining, experimental comedies. And I loved every second of it. And when I say I loved every second of it, I genuinely mean every second of it. That's why I'm not joking when I say I consider the Poultrygeist of cult classic comedies. Because the practical effects in it are outstanding. It has makeup, it has stop motion, it has everything in it. And Alex, you see him drooling, he genuinely is, because his mouth couldn't close because half of his face was in that makeup. And I wish that's something they bring back, because everything's CGI now. And CGI has its place, don't get me wrong. I think of all the movies that have great CGI. Pacific Rim, Godzilla -1, Godzilla 2014, Shin Godzilla, if you haven't noticed about it. I love giant monster movies. Even like Starship Troopers, the original one, or the original one technically, because the first adaptation was the anime from the 80s. But in Starship Troopers, the live action movie, those bugs still look great. So CGI absolutely does have a spot. But there is
something about practical effects that most movies are just missing out on. Could you imagine a movie made today that has true, like, practical effects, no CGI? I mean, probably a little bit of CGI here and there, but that focuses more on practical effects. Because I know that was the one thing that a lot of people said about the Thing remake or prequel, is that they actually started making the movie with practical effects, but then last second they said you gotta change it to CG. And that's a shame, because apparently in test screenings the practical effects look spectacular. Like, think of the original Thing, or even the remake of the Thing, because there was the Thing from the 1950s, but the one that's more of an honest adaptation of the novel. Those effects are still outstanding. Practical effects, when done well, can just take the world away. And I love it. But I'm not here to talk about the Thing. I'm here to talk about underrated comedies. The next one, hear me out. Nothing But Trouble. Some people say that's what I am, but Nothing But Trouble, truly, I honestly think, as silly and goofy as it is, even for a comedy, I love it. It is so much fun. And I think it was Red Letter Media that described it like this. It's a Goonies movie, but instead of kids, they're all adults. Now, it's not an adult film. It's overall a lighthearted, well, it's a dark comedy, but it's overall, like, goofy and over the top. It's not that violent. There's nothing sexual in it. I mean, the only thing that's violent about the movie is the bone stripper, which is freaky. The idea of a machine that literally strips everything from your body and then spits it out. Even that's done in a sarcastic and slapsticky way. Not sarcastic, slapstick way. Nothing But Trouble. I think these three movies are true cult classics, because, you know, it's those movies that people just never talk about, but when people talk about them, everyone always loves them. And I think that's the thing about comedy, is that they do have to be funny. And I stress this, I can't stress this enough. If a movie entertains me, then it didn't fail. Even movies that are so bad they're good. Now, when it comes to movies that are so bad they're good, they're normally horror, science fiction, drama, sometimes action. Those are the movies that fall under the terms of so bad they're good. And that's because there are these styles of movies that failed and it makes them funny. A bad comedy is just not funny, and that's not entertaining. These movies, however, I don't think are bad. I think they are genuinely really funny. And I think if people give them another shot, they'd probably be looked at in a much better light. I don't know if they get the, what do they call it, like the retrospective or reflection that, like, a lot of Wikipedia articles have. I think Freaked might be able to get that, but something like Grandma's Boy, Nothing But Trouble are never going to get that. And I'm a defender of bizarre movies. Like, I'm the guy who stands up firmly for the original Super Mario Brothers movie. Not the anime movie, but the live action one. I think that's a genuine great movie. Like, not even like so bad it's good like a lot of people say when I think it's entertaining. I think it's a genuine masterpiece. You're not going to argue with me about that. That's an awesome movie. It's not an underrated comedy because it's not a comedy. It's a science fiction adventure film. But it's definitely an underrated cult classic. That's another movie that I think people need to sit down and rewatch and really appreciate it. But these three movies, man, people need to give them another shot. Grandma's Boy, people might not be able to get into as much because, you know, it is kind of the stoner comedy and lowbrow, Happy Madison humor. But Freaked and Nothing But Trouble definitely should get a rewatch and a second chance because these are actually really good movies. They deserve another shot. People should look at them again. I have a lot of fun every time I watch them. I don't rewatch movies often because I'd rather have a new experience as opposed to experiencing something I already did. So if I rewatch a movie, that says a lot. That's actually a newer thing for me, not so much. But I think that was within the last few years. But you know, when I first saw Nothing But Trouble, when I first saw Freak, and I first saw Grandma's Boy, I rewatched them a lot. Like, I think the last movie I rewatched was Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So, I mean, obviously I'm a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan, but like I said, I don't really rewatch movies. But I think I might have to rewatch these movies one more time. Because, like I said, these movies deserve a second chance. Not every movie deserves a second chance, but these movies, I think, definitely deserve people to look at them one more time. Maybe they'll realize, hey, these aren't that bad after all. Anyways, my friends, I gotta start making supper.
Some good fucking food.
And then start getting ready for bed. Or start making supper.
Only high quality chicken flavored foodstuffs.
Play a little bit of Claire Obscure, then get ready for bed. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out and good night.